The Princess Lorelei cruise ship arrives at the resort island, which Anya is very excited for as she jumps around in excitement. Meanwhile, Loid is tense due to the presence of nearby SSS members looking out for further threats. Aware of his uneasiness, Anya claims to Loid that normal fathers would jump and play with their daughters at times like these, prompting him to jump around. To their surprise, they reunite with Yor, who is waiting for their arrival. Loid notices the swelling on Yor's face, which she makes an excuse for. With Yor's work finished, the Forgers get ready to have fun on the resort island together. The family tour the island to enjoy the resort accommodations and activities, walking around town, ziplining, riding a tandem bike, cave exploring, riding horses, and a swing, and playing on the beach. As Anya plays with a flock of sheep and compares them to Bond, Yor comments that she is at peace. And while Loid agrees, he silently thinks otherwise. Watching Anya, Yor wishes that this peace would continue forever. Anya shows her parents a snorkeling poster, insisting that she wants to go in the ocean and look at the fish next. Yor internally worries about wearing a bikini at the risk of exposing her new chest wound, which makes Anya change her mind and claim that they will get eaten by sharks. However, Yor sees that the poster also has rental swimwear and decides to wear a rash guard bathing suit instead and agrees to snorkel, assuring Anya that there will not be any sharks present in the water. The Forgers go snorkeling, then surf soon afterward. Clutching a surfboard, Anya readies herself to be pushed into a wave by Yor, but gets propelled with force as Yor forgets to hold back her strength. Anya rides the wave and launched in the air, but Loid quickly catches her. Once the wave has passed, a thrilled Anya asks to go again, but is rejected by Loid, while a panicked Yor apologizes for the mishap. As the Forgers head back to the cruise ship, Anya is delighted that they had fun the entire day. Suddenly, Yor is hit with the exhaustion from all her fighting without rest and falls onto Loid's shoulder as she sleeps. After Anya also becomes tired, an embarrassed Loid is forced to carry them in his arms on the way to the ship. Loid is surprised that Yor fell asleep and guesses that work had been rough for her. Loid smiles at her effort to still spend the day with them despite that and praises her. After the cruise, the Forgers return home, with Anya greeted by a crying Bond, while Loid hands an annoyed Frankie a souvenir. Afterward, the reunited Forgers commune in the living room over drinks. Loid later meets with Sylvia to discuss the bombing incident on Princess Lorelei, and Sylvia informs him that numerous passengers aboard the ship went missing and were originally traveling with fake passports. Loid affirms his suspicions and suspects that their goal was to create conflict between Westalis and Ostania. However, the SSS suspects that a third party was involved and will most likely cover the issue to protect their reputation. Sylvia orders Loid to watch out for Ostania's extremist movements at the risk of sabotaging Operation Strix. As Loid walks away, Sylvia asks how he enjoyed his vacation on the cruise. He tiredly responds that it was more exhausting than his previous missions, to Sylvia's amusement. Back at home, Yor, Anya, and Bond sleep soundly in the living room. With Anya having drawn a picture of her and her parents' cruise adventure, Yor returns to work at Berlin City Hall with souvenirs for her coworkers, those being skeleton keychains that she bought for Anya at the ship. Camilla and Millie express their disappointment, with the former suggesting that Yor should have gotten them some consumables for souvenirs, which worries Yor. Despite their complaints, they accept her gift anyway. At SSS headquarters, Yuri happily prances around knowing that Yor has returned from her trip, but his mood drops when he is reminded of Loid. At the same time, Loid sets up the lovey-dovey marriage set at home to prepare for Yuri's visit. making last-minute adjustments to make his and yours marriage look more believable. Meanwhile, Anya returns to Eden Academy, where all the students chatter about what they did during their midterm break. She enters class and is greeted by Becky, who notices that she has become a little tan and asks her friend where she went during her break. Anya tells Becky about going to the grandest luxury liner in all of Ostania. Becky and Damien are surprised by this, the latter saying that the forgers are worthy of coming over to his house, at least is what Anya imagines will happen. In reality, Becky brushes it off as nothing special, surprising Anya. Anya says her trip was special and struggles to say the ship's name, which Becky recognizes as Princess Lorelei, and says she went on it before the start of school, mentioning how she stayed in the Imperial Suite. Anya is shocked and says she stayed in a third-class prison cell. Overhearing their conversation, Emil laughs at her, while Ewan remarks how Anya is not embarrassed to admit to staying in a lower-class suite. Anya hears their insults and reddens up in embarrassment and irritation. The boys brag about their fancy escapades during their break, and Becky talks about how she had her father let her meet the famous starlet Rachel at a party. The other students gather around Becky, praising her and her family, and ask about her meeting with Rachel. Wanting a share of the attention, Anya gets up and exaggerates about the villains on the boat. The students ask about the villains, thinking they are from a show. Anya claims the villains were from foreign lands, making the students believe they are international movie stars and ask who was there. Anya decides to tell them about Sickle and Chain Barnaby. The students have no idea what Anya is talking about and only ask more questions. Anya stammers around, talking about the abilities of the enemies. The students mock Anya, saying she got attacked by pirates. One of them points out how it would have been on the news, and Anya remembers how the incident on the cruise was covered up. She tells her classmates that the enemies were secret villains from beneath the sea, the Octo People. Anya tries to continue her story of slaying the Octo People, but the students ignore her to ask Becky about Rachel. Watching from the side, Damien and his friends are impressed by how much Anya is making herself look like a fool. Their teacher walks in and tells the students to take their seats. He asks if the students made the most of their midterm break, and a student mentions Anya's story. The rest of the class bursts into laughter while Anya's face flushes in embarrassment. At the end of the day, Becky comforts a gloomy Anya, saying she can understand the desire to make oneself look better. She says there is nothing wrong with it if it helps Anya to become the person she wants to be. While Anya is happy to hear this, George interjects, warning her not to lie too much lest she becomes an outcast like him. Yuri makes his arrival to the forger apartment to see Yor, jumping and shouting for joy, to Loid's annoyance. When Anya returns home, Yor notices her glum demeanor and asks if something is wrong. After everyone sits in the living room, Anya tells the adults how her classmates mocked her for falsely boasting about her trip. Loid asks why she felt the need to lie in the first place, and not wanting to reveal her knowledge of Plan B, she says that she wanted attention. In his thoughts, Loid lectures Anya on casually lying and how to lie. When he speaks, he ends up half-heartedly telling her that lying is wrong. Likewise, Yuri thinks about how he always deals with liars and how they are worthless trash, then justifies his own lies, saying they are for Yor's sake, and that anything would be righteous if it was for her. When he speaks, he agrees with Loid and says all liars are trash. Yor also agrees, telling Anya to be comfortable with herself and that she will get along better with everyone if she is honest. The room falls silent, and Anya says she will try to stop lying, as being a liar seems pretty rough.